Chapter 206. Meanwhile, Duke Diarca, who was on Crown Prince Castian's mind, was with his confidant, Baron Darmond. His Highness the Crown Prince is still locked in his room, is he not? This is a serious matter indeed. As Baron Darmond clicked his tongue, Duke Diarca stroked his beard and spoke. Indeed, he is. If he was going to withdraw like this, he should have just remained in my shadow as always. Instead, he caused a ruckus and doesn't even show the will to rectify it. Who is supposed to fix this mess while he remains silent? Thanks to him, I'm stuck dealing with the bloodthirsty Apeto and Duke Paleta at the same time. I feel like I am at my wits' end. Isn't it a rule of the life that no matter how well behaved a child is, they tend to cause trouble around this age due to their overconfidence in their abilities? It's a time when the world seems absurd to them. Yes, he just turned 18, didn't he? Duke Diarca muttered, as if calculating the Crown Prince's age, and then continued his thought. I knew he had become quite arrogant, but I thought he was an asset who knew his place and would exercise patience until he ascended the throne. Yet he was shaken by such a trivial matter and acted recklessly, without even the slightest hint of shame needed to address the situation. It's a massive disappointment. Perhaps the issue was that I always treated him like a child. Duke Diarca mumbled and lit the pipe that was placed on the stand. As the incense within it began to burn, producing smoke, a dizzying aroma filled the room. Why on earth did he have to stir up the Apeto? It would have been better if there were no traces left. But due to this incident, those who have stopped mentioning the Crown Prince's qualifications start speaking again. It will truly be a problem. There is no way to reverse what had already happened. However, His Highness the Crown Prince will certainly learn a valuable lesson from this terrible failure. Duke, you also got to see a side of him you hadn't known before because of this incident. Isn't it rather fortunate that this happened sooner rather than later? You are right. A cold smile spread across the aged Duke Diarca's face. I will ensure that he properly learns his lesson this time. If he dares to dream beyond the station, it is my duty to bring him back to reality. Ah, so that's why you sent a request to suppress discussion about this incident, even though you knew it would be rejected. Indeed, thanks to that, even those beneath us are chattering more. Duke Diarca took another puff from his pipe and exhaled the smoke with a soft chuckle. He had been hiding behind me all this time, only hearing good things and never experiencing defeat. So it's about time he gets a real taste of the heat, Duke Diarca said. Haha, I fear the Crown Prince might end up never leaving the palace, just like His Majesty, Baron Darmond said, laughing with a face that showed no fear. But if you intend to rectify this, wouldn't you have to drag the Crown Prince out of the palace at least once? Please share a bit of your wisdom with me. Well, there's nothing special, just do as we always have. The gaze of Duke Diarca, who dusted off the ash from his pipe onto a beautiful dish, grew cold. Let those Apeto fools destroy themselves and find someone to take the fall for what the Crown Prince has done. Have you already thought of who it will be? Shouldn't I tell the Crown Prince to choose directly so he doesn't repeat a reckless act? A cunning and cruel glint appeared in his wrinkled eyes. He won't forget the lesson of having to cut off the hands and feet he just made, realizing he did something he shouldn't have. Indeed, you are wise. So, what will you do about Duke Paleta? I plan to propose to help him win the trial for sure, as he has put quite a bit of effort into this trial. Will he accept it just like that? The evidence is so clear that it's not a losing trial. What if he doesn't accept it? Although it's not a losing trial, sentencing Apeto without our help would be difficult. Apeto lost his child, but all Duke Paleta lost was a bit of dignity he never had. We can't equate life with dignity. That's sufficient. The tone of Duke Diarca was so sarcastic it was hard to believe he was speaking about imperial family members. Baron Darmar nodded with a refreshed expression. If your highness says so, then it shall be. Ah, flattery suits you as you age. Despite his words, a brief smile crossed Duke Diarca's face. Baron Dermont quickly seized the moment to express his concerns with an even more anxious voice. Truthfully, hasn't Duke Paleta been quite arrogant since creating the cavalry? I was genuinely worried during the funeral incident. I thought I might see him again. Yes, this incident made me become alert about him too. It was indeed a series of surprising events. Duke Diarca's dark, smoky eyes stared into the hazy void. He had become quite arrogant, trusting the power of the cavalry. But they are merely a collection of common ruffians. They must be quite excited now. But what will happen when that power crumbles? You have thought about that part as well? Isn't it best to topple those who rely on power with power? Duke Diarca's voice echoed in the dark room. You have probably heard that monsters keep appearing in the West recently. Yes, then, as Baron Darmond seemed to understand something, Duke Diarca continued to explain in a leisurely tone. The nations there are already in chaos. I have pricked up my ears as it seems even Duke Tane is quite troubled. Indeed, an unavoidable request for help, I presume. If the cavalry that played such a large role this time doesn't step forward, then who will? A laugh wafted through the smoke from the incense. Finally, the day of the second trial concerning the forced kidnapping and research of the Awakeners at the house of Apeto dawned. A scandal and trial involving the four major dukedoms was an event that could be counted on one hand throughout the entire history of the Ore Empire. In particular, the first trial, forcibly adjourned after causing a great commotion from an external incident, further ignited the interest of the imperial citizens. Did the Apeto family recently commit such a horrifying act? And were the rumors true about Duke Paleta, the leader of the cavalry, that brought them to the court, harboring personal grudges and killing Lenoshan Apeto? The appearance of Duke Paleta at Lenore's funeral, where he personally attested his innocence, had spurred even more interest, as it resulted in the shocking revelation that the true culprit was the Crown Prince. The curiosity palpably emanated from the faces of those filling the grand imperial courtroom, even before the trial had officially begun. Evidence this intense interest. And there stood Yudhir, observing this tremor with his own eyes, standing alongside the deputy commanders behind the high seats on the right side of the courtroom where the imperial family sat. All seats are filled even before the arrival of 7 judges. Such an event is rare in the 1,000-year history of the empire. Kana muttered, unable to hide her excitement and worry. I am a bit worried about Devron and the others who should be in the waiting room. They need to testify without getting nervous. It will be all right. Yudhir recalled Devron's face from a few days ago, blazing with the determination to land a punch on Apeto, and responded. He seemed more energetic due to the abrupt interruption due to the first trial. That's a relief then. Aren't you too nervous? Sil's deputy commander, Stiber, standing next to Kana, interjected, tapping his cheek with tense expressions. Even though I have lived in the capital, it's my first time here, and I'm really nervous. even more than during the party. Look at Ever, she hasn't said a word since a while ago. As she said, Ever was perfectly standing in attention, looking straight ahead. Even if someone was talking right next to her, it seemed like it wouldn't reach her ears. I'm certainly nervous too, but talking helps me feel better. Of course, it doesn't seem like that's the case for Yudhir. Kana, turning towards Yudhir, crinkled her nose slightly and chuckled. She wouldn't know, but Yudhir wasn't having the best time in his space either. Last time he was here, he was arrested while attempting to acquire the world spear in his past life. He was immediately dragged here, dismissed from his position as the commander of the cavalry, and imprisoned. Nevertheless, Yudhit took a moment to think of something helpful to say while looking at Steiber's pale face. You have nothing to worry about if you haven't committed a crime, Steiber. Huh? It seemed to backfire as Steiber's face turned even paler. Yudhir quickly added another line. If someone looks this way, they'll be looking at the commander, not us. No one will pay us any mind. Ah, right, of course. Haha, that makes sense. Steiber, letting out a bitter laugh, took a deep breath. I mustn't be nervous. The 7 judges who uphold the laws of the Empire and His Highness Duke Paleta will soon enter. Everyone, please rise and show your respect. At that moment, a loud announcement echoed, drawing everyone's attention towards the entrance. The grand door named the Gate of Truth opened, and the judges, dressed in black robes, marched in one by one. As they took their respective seats, finally the figure of Kashir, adorned in white official uniform, was revealed.